Hi, this is Mrs. Tratner, and this is lesson number 5. That's huge. Okay, so these are the objectives that we're covering in the unit. Our goals for today: to look at large and small scale and to complete an activity based on scale. So let's review. Make sure that you pause before you listen for the answer. True or false? A bean is about the size of a millimeter. That is false. A bean is about the size of a centimeter. True or false? A virus is about 100 nanometers long. This one is true. Alrighty. So write in scientific notation 1 nanometer in comparison to 1 meter. What would that look like? Okay, that should be 1 billion. So it should be 1 times 10 to the negative 9th power. Okay, so I want us to think about this, and you may want to pause the recording as we talk about this. How could you describe a billion? Like, what would that look like? What would a billion of something look like? So like $1 billion, a billion golf balls, a billion cups. Whatever it is, I want you to think about, what does a billion look like? How could you describe it? Like if you had to talk to somebody that you were trying to explain what a billion is, what it might look like, how would you do that? So take a minute and pause the recording and think about how you would do that. So some ways that we could talk about how to describe a billion would be to write it in scientific notation. We could write it out in like expanded form. Okay, we could draw a picture of something to say, to show something for a billion. But sometimes describing large numbers can be quite challenging. So I have a question. I have a milk jug, and it is not filled with milk. Okay, it is filled with salt, and I can prove it. So if I were to take this and pour it out, I have salt in here. Okay? Now, I don't have it filled all the way to the top just because I have it, so you can kind of see that it has stuff in it. But if I were to fill this jug all the way to the top here, and this is just a 1-gallon milk container, okay, how many grains of salt do you think are in this one container? So I want you to pause the recording, and I want you to put down your guess. Okay, so I hope you have your thoughts down on how many grains of salt are in this 1-gallon container. So let's see if we can't figure it out, at least get a pretty good estimate. Now, if we have 16 cups in a gallon, we could probably figure out how many grains of salt would be in this particular container. But I don't know how many cups I have in here. So we have to start with a unit that maybe we can figure out a little bit better. Okay? So we might need to break this unit of cups down a little bit further, because I don't even know how many grains of salt are in a cup. Do you? I really don't. So if we break it down into something a little bit more manageable, okay? Like, I could probably figure out how many grains of salt are in a smaller amount, right? So if I were to take, I'm going to pour my salt back into my little container here, okay, in the top of the milk carton. I could probably count I could probably count the number of grains in this, right? But I don't know how much that is. And still, that's a lot of salt. So, and I just spilled it on my computer. That's okay. So what I might do is I might take a pinch of salt. So if I take a pinch of salt and I put that down, okay, like, and I have it on my hand here, I could probably count the grains there, right? That's a little bit more manageable to count those grains of sand. So if I were to do that, I would come up with about 1,000 grains of sand. I'm sorry, 1,000 grains of salt in that pinch. Okay? So if we did this, okay, move my container here. So if I figured out that in one pinch there were 1,000 grains of salt, I could then probably work my way up, right? So if I were to say that there are about 1,000 grains of salt in that pinch, okay, then I could probably figure out how many of those pinches I could probably put into a cup. And a cup is a pretty large container, all things considered, okay? So if I then wanted to estimate how many grains of salt are in a cup, I want you to think about that little itty bitty pinch, and how many of those pinches I'd have to put into a 1 cup container. So hopefully you paused the recording. I've got salt everywhere now. If I have 1 cup of salt, that would be approximately 1 million grains of salt. So now could we figure out how many grains of salt are in my 1 gallon container? If 16 cups fit into here, how many grains of salt is that? Why don't you pause the recording and let's see if we can't figure that out. So if they figured that out, that's kind of simple math. That's 16 times 1 million, right? So that's about 16 million grains of salt. That's a lot of salt. Okay, so we're talking about 16 million grains of salt in my 1 gallon container. That's amazing. Okay, so, and remember, this is just an estimate that we're doing. So, okay, big deal. So now what we were going to do in class is we were going to figure out some problems, okay? And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you choose one of the 3 activities, the golf ball activity, the stack of paper activity, or the counting activity, and submit your answers to me. Okay, and I'll create the assignment in Canvas. So if you guys want to get together and all of you do one, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Or if you want to do it independently, totally up to you. But if you want to go ahead and meet in Hangouts and figure one of these out, go for it. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to use the page that's found in Google Drive. Okay? Make sure that you put everybody's name on it, especially if you guys are going to do this together. Okay? To tell me like who did what. And then if you're doing it independently, then I just have your name and that's no big deal. Okay? So, and I will grade it. And I know it says I will grade it in class, but you need to share that document with me. So it'll come to me through email, and then I'll just grade it from there and put it into the grade book. Okay? So when we look at this, the first thing you're going to, the first activity, or one of the activities, would be how many golf balls would it take to fill a room? And I give you the dimensions of a room. Okay? And then the other question is, how big would a container need to be in order to hold 1 billion golf balls? Okay? Another activity that you can choose from would be, how tall would a stack of 1 billion sheets of cardstock be? Okay, and I measure out a stack of 25 sheets. Okay, now everything in the Google document is there for you. So like I tell you how many sheets of paper there are, and it gives you some questions to answer along the way. But the main point is, how tall would a stack of 1 billion sheets of cardstock be? The third activity is, if you counted from 1 to 1 billion, how long would it take you? Okay, and in the Google sheet, I give you like some ways to break it down, just like we did with the salt. Okay? So again, what you're going to do, and I'll go back to those directions, okay? Because we're not having class, you are going to choose one of the 3 activities. Okay? I will give you the link to the document for all 3 activities. You decide which activity you're going to do. You can do it independently, or you can work with a partner. Doesn't matter to me. Just make sure that if you're working with somebody else, that you put everybody's name on the document so I know who to give credit for. Okay? Send me the email showing that you have shared the document with me. You know how you click on share and then you put my name in. Make sure the box is checked to send me the email. I will then grade the activity and put it into the grade book. It would have been graded had we done it in class, but because we're not going to have class, we'll do it this way. Okay? So I will put the links in the lesson along with this video. If you have questions, send me an email. I'll also put an email together for you guys, giving you the assignment. Will actually, I think I have the assignment in Canvas already. The assignment has the due date, so just check for that assignment. Okay? And if you do have questions, just let me know. So remember that all of the assignments are found in Canvas. You can find the assignments by clicking on assignments. You can click on modules. You can look on the calendar. Okay? And with that, I hope that you guys have a fabulous day and have fun doing one of the 3 activities. And I will see you in class soon.